My son's gaming addiction nearly ruined our family. The internet should be deleted. My daughter and other son were terrified. I tried everything. Hello, Reddit. I'm a 45-year-old mother of 3, and I never thought I'd find myself writing this. My 15-year-old son, Jamie, was once a bright, cheerful boy. Now, he is trapped in a world of online gaming, and I feel like I'm losing him. I'm reaching out because I desperately need advice. The beginning. It all started about 2 years ago when Jamie was gifted a gaming console for his birthday. At first, it was just a way for him to unwind after school. He would play with friends, laugh, and occasionally invite us to watch. I remember those joyful days vividly. My husband, Tom, and I would joke about how Jamie could turn into a gaming pro. At the time, Jamie was in the 8th grade, filled with aspirations of becoming an engineer, a dream he had since he built a model rocket with Tom. He would draw blueprints and spend hours crafting elaborate designs with his Legos. Gaming seemed like a harmless extension of that creativity and outlet for his imagination. But little did we know, it was the beginning of a dark journey. The transformation. Within months, Jamie's casual gaming turned into a full-blown obsession. He discovered an online multiplayer game that captivated him. At first, it was harmless. He spent time strategizing with friends and engaging in friendly competition. But soon, it took over his life. He stopped going outside, neglected his schoolwork, and began to isolate himself in his room for hours on end. The shift was gradual but alarming. We noticed Jamie withdrawing from family activities. He skipped dinner to play just one more round, claiming he was close to achieving a significant milestone in the game. When we tried to pull him away from the screen, he would argue fiercely. His once animated conversations were replaced with one-word responses, and his laughter faded into silence. It wasn't just the gaming, it was the way it consumed him. His grades began to slip. Once a straight-A student, he now struggled to pass his classes. I remember a particular parent-teacher conference where his math teacher expressed concern. He's a bright kid, but he doesn't seem engaged anymore. I've noticed he often stares blankly at the board, lost in thought, she said. That night, I confronted him. Jamie, your teacher is worried about you. What's going on? I asked, trying to keep my tone gentle. I'm fine, Mom. Just busy, he replied, avoiding eye contact. The family impact. As time went on, the strain on our family became unbearable. Tom and I started arguing more. I wanted to set limits on Jamie's gaming time. Tom thought we should let him enjoy it as long as he was happy. Our differing opinions only added fuel to the fire. I felt like I was in a constant state of anxiety, worrying about Jamie's future while feeling helpless to do anything about it. The atmosphere in our home grew tense. Emily and Lily began to feel the tension too. They missed their brother, the playful, loving sibling who used to take them to the park or play board games. Now, they had to contend with a distant, moody teenager who barely acknowledged their existence. I often caught them looking at Jamie with confusion and hurt in their eyes. They whispered to each other about how they wished things could go back to the way they were, when family game nights were the highlight of the week. I could see their disappointment and confusion mirrored in their faces. Emily often took on the role of the peacemaker, trying to bridge the gap between Jamie and the rest of us. Maybe we could play a game together, she suggested one night, her voice hopeful. I'm busy, Jamie replied curtly, his eyes glued to the screen. It hurt to watch. I could sense the girl's frustration and sadness. Lily once came to me, her little hands trembling. Mom, is Jamie going to be okay? He doesn't seem like himself anymore. How do you explain addiction to a 9-year-old? The breaking point. One evening, after discovering that Jamie had skipped school yet again, I reached my breaking point. I knocked on his door, my heart racing. Jamie, can we talk? No, Mom. I'm busy. His voice was sharp, dismissive. Busy? You haven't been to school in days. I pushed the door open, only to be met with a wall of empty soda cans and junk food wrappers. The sight broke my heart. The room smelled of stale snacks and sweat, a stark contrast to the boy I once knew. Get out. You don't understand anything. He yelled, his eyes wild with anger. Then help me understand. Please. I begged, desperate for any connection. He just turned back to his screen, lost in his virtual world. I felt the weight of despair settle over me. That was the moment I realized I was losing my son. Seeking help. Feeling utterly defeated, I decided to seek help. I reached out to a family therapist who specialized in gaming addiction. Tom was reluctant at first, fearing it would label Jamie, but he eventually agreed, worried about the toll this was taking on all of us. Our first session was eye-opening. The therapist explained how gaming addiction could mirror substance abuse, providing an escape for kids dealing with underlying issues. Jamie was struggling with anxiety, which we hadn't recognized. He used gaming to cope, but it was slowly destroying him and us. Jamie needs to learn to face his emotions, not hide from them, the therapist said, her tone firm but compassionate. I could see the wheels turning in Jamie's head, and for the first time, he looked vulnerable instead of defiant. Do you feel overwhelmed? The therapist asked him gently. Sometimes, Jamie admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. I wanted to reach out and hug him, to tell him that it was okay to feel that way, but I held back, wanting him to voice his feelings. The intervention. After a few weeks of therapy, we planned an intervention. It was one of the hardest things I've ever done. I gathered Tom and the girls in the living room, and we sat down with Jamie. His face was a mix of confusion and irritation as we laid out our concerns. Jamie, we love you. We want you to be happy, but this isn't working, I said, my voice shaking. You're missing out on life. He exploded, shouting about how we didn't understand how important the game was to him. This is my world. You want me to give up everything I built? My heart sank. I had never seen him like this, angry, defensive, and utterly convinced that gaming was his only escape. Jamie, you're losing your friends. You're failing your classes. We're scared for you, Tom added, his voice steady but filled with concern. The consequences. Despite our efforts, Jamie refused to change. He continued to retreat further into his gaming world, neglecting school and friends. The only time he left his room was to grab snacks or attend school, which he now did begrudgingly. The impact on our family was devastating. Tom and I were at our wits' end, and our daughters were left to navigate the emotional fallout. I could see the toll it was taking on them. They missed their brother and felt caught in the middle of our battles. One night, I overheard Emily and Lily talking in their room. Why is Jamie acting like this? Emily asked, her voice laced with sadness. I miss the way he used to be. Me too, Lily replied, her small voice barely a whisper. It's like he's gone. The Breaking Point, Part 2. One night, I found Jamie awake at 2 a.m., furiously typing away at his keyboard. I felt a mix of anger and sadness as I confronted him. Jamie, you need to go to bed. This is unacceptable. Just let me finish this quest. He pleaded, his voice desperate. No. You're going to ruin your health and your future. I shouted, feeling a wave of frustration. His eyes, once filled with joy, now looked empty. You don't get it? This is my life. That was the moment I realized that our attempts to help had only driven him deeper into his addiction. I left his room feeling defeated, tears streaming down my face. The moment of clarity. As time went on, Jamie's health began to deteriorate. He lost weight, his skin looked pale, and he often complained of headaches. I felt like I was watching a slow-motion train wreck, powerless to stop it. One day, he fainted while getting up to grab a soda. That was the wake-up call we needed. We rushed him to the hospital, where the doctors confirmed that his gaming habits had led to severe dehydration and exhaustion. The doctors spoke to us about the impact of excessive screen time and the importance of balance in life. You have to be proactive as a family, she advised. Set boundaries, encourage outdoor activities, and make sure he knows that he is loved regardless of his gaming achievements. The path to recovery. Difficult moments of my life. As I watched him pack his things, I felt a heavy weight in my chest. Each item he folded and placed into his bag felt like a piece of my heart being taken away. I don't want to go, he murmured, looking lost. I know, sweetie. But this is for your health. We love you, and we want you to have a future, I reassured him, my voice trembling. I wanted to convey all the hope I had for him, even as I felt shattered inside. When he arrived at the residential program, I couldn't shake the feeling of dread. Would he thrive there? Would he find the support he needed? I made sure to write him letters, pouring my heart into each one, detailing our love and hopes for his future. I filled them with reminders of our family and the moments that used to make us laugh together. New beginnings. In the program, Jamie was surrounded by other teens who had similar struggles. It was strange to think that he was finally in a place where he could connect with others who understood his experience. The first couple of weeks were tough for him. He was frustrated, angry, and resistant to the changes they wanted him to embrace. During family therapy sessions, I could see glimpses of the Jamie I once knew. One day, during a session, he shared, I just feel empty without the game. It's like all my friends are gone. Have you thought about what those friendships mean outside the game? The therapist asked gently. Jamie paused, his brow furrowed. Not really. I just thought. I don't know, they were everything. Building real connections takes time and effort, just like your gaming did, the therapist explained. Let us explore what you can do to reconnect with those you've lost touch with. Facing reality. As Jamie began to process his feelings, I found myself grappling with my own emotions. The guilt I felt for not recognizing his struggle sooner was suffocating. I would cry at night, feeling overwhelmed by the burden of my perceived failures as a mother. Tom would hold me close, reminding me that we were all learning and growing together. "It's not your fault," he would whisper, brushing my hair back. "We're doing the best we can." Still, the what-ifs haunted me. What if we had intervened sooner? What if I had noticed the signs earlier? I wanted to shield Jamie from all the pain, but I realized I had to let him navigate his own path to recovery. Building bridges. Weeks turned into months, and Jamie slowly started to engage more with the program. He joined group activities, went on outings, and even tried his hand at art therapy, which surprised me. The boy who once dismissed drawing as childish now embraced it, painting vibrant landscapes and exploring his emotions through color. One evening, he called me, his voice filled with excitement. "Mom, you won't believe it? I painted a mountain, and it actually looks like a mountain. I'm so proud of you, Jamie." I replied, my heart swelling with joy. Hearing him so animated was a revelation. It reminded me of the young boy who used to spend hours creating elaborate Lego structures, his eyes sparkling with pride. The relapse. However, recovery is rarely a straight path. There were setbacks. One day, Jamie had a particularly rough session where he opened up about his anxiety. Afterward, he called me, his voice heavy with disappointment. "I don't think I can do this, Mom." "What's the point?" I felt a pang of fear. "Jamie, it's okay to feel overwhelmed. Remember, this is a process. You're not alone in this," I encouraged him. But later that week, we received a call from the program. Jamie had been caught trying to sneak a gaming device into the facility. My heart sank. I felt a mix of anger and concern. How could he jeopardize his progress? When I confronted him during our next visit, he looked ashamed. "I just wanted to escape for a bit. It was too much." "Do you understand why that's a problem?" I asked gently, struggling to keep my emotions in check. "You can't run away from your feelings. You need to face them." "I know. I'm sorry," he replied, his voice breaking. Picking up the pieces. After that incident, Jamie had to spend a week in a more intensive part of the program, where they focused on coping strategies for relapse. It was a hard lesson for him, but it sparked a new determination within him. As weeks went on, he started to embrace the tools they provided. Journaling became his outlet, a way for him to express his thoughts and feelings. During our family therapy sessions, he would share snippets from his journal, and it was eye-opening to see the world through his eyes. "I wrote about the first time I felt like I lost control," he said one session. "I didn't even realize it was happening until it was too late." "That takes a lot of courage to admit," the therapist replied. "What do you think you can do moving forward?" "I think I need to find other things that make me feel good, like painting or even just going outside," Jamie mused. Reconnecting. As Jamie continued to grow, I noticed changes in the whole family dynamic. Emily and Lily started to open up more about their feelings. "I miss playing with him," Emily confessed one evening. "But I don't want him to feel pressure to be the old Jamie." "We can help him feel safe," I suggested. "Let's plan something low pressure, like a movie night with his favorite snacks." When we finally did have a family movie night, Jamie joined us cautiously, sitting on the couch with a bowl of popcorn. The tension in the room gradually melted away as we laughed at the film, and I felt a flicker of hope that we could rebuild our bond. "Can we play a board game afterward?" Lily asked excitedly. "I'd like that," Jamie replied, smiling for the first time in what felt like ages. The homecoming. After 6 months, Jamie graduated from the program. I was overwhelmed with pride, but also anxiety about his return home. Would he slip back into old habits? What if he struggled to adjust? The day he came home was bittersweet. I set up a small welcome home party with balloons and his favorite cake. When he walked through the door, he looked different, more grounded. Somehow, "I'm so glad to be home," he said, his voice steady but filled with emotion. We hugged tightly, and I could feel the warmth of his body, the connection I had longed for. New challenges. As the weeks passed, the challenges of reintegration became apparent. Jamie faced temptation at every corner. School was a minefield. He saw friends who were still deeply entrenched in gaming, and it was hard to resist the urge to join them. One afternoon, he confided in me, "Mom, I saw some friends playing, and it was hard not to want to join in." I took a deep breath. It's okay to feel that way. But remember what you've learned. You can enjoy games, but they don't have to control you. How about we set some boundaries together? Like what? He asked, intrigued. Maybe we could limit gaming to weekends and focus on activities during the week. We can find new hobbies together, I suggested, hoping to spark his interest. "Okay, that sounds fair," he agreed, a spark of excitement in his eyes. Finding balance. As we experimented with new hobbies, I discovered Jamie had a knack for photography. One Saturday, we took a trip to a local park, and I handed him my old camera. Just capture what you find beautiful, I encouraged. Watching him immerse himself in the task was enlightening. He began to see the world differently, focusing on small details: a dewdrop on a leaf, sunlight filtering through trees. His creativity poured out in each shot, and I could see his joy return. "Look at this one, Mom," he exclaimed, showing me a photo of a sunset. "I captured it perfectly." "That's stunning, Jamie. You have a real talent." I beamed, feeling a sense of pride swell within me. Growing together. As Jamie's photography grew, so did his confidence. He started an Instagram account to showcase his work, and he even participated in a local photography competition. The community support was overwhelming, and it felt like he was finally stepping out of the shadows of his addiction. However, the journey wasn't without bumps. One evening, while Jamie was out with friends, he returned home late. I could see the anxiety etched on his face as he walked through the door. "I got invited to play online with some friends," he admitted, his voice shaking. I said no, but it was hard. "I'm proud of you for saying no," I said, hoping to reassure him. "How did it make you feel?" "Like, I still want to game, but I also want to be better," he replied. That honesty was crucial. We spent the evening talking about strategies for handling those moments of temptation, and I reminded him that it was okay to acknowledge his feelings. The future. Glass to propose a toast. "I just want to say how grateful I am for all of you," he began, his voice steady. "I know things haven't been easy, but I'm proud of how far we've all come together." My heart swelled with emotion. "We're proud of you, Jamie. You've worked so hard, and we're here for you every step of the way. Cheers." Emily and Lily chimed in, their faces glowing with happiness. As the evening wore on, laughter filled the air, and it felt like the old days. Yet, a lingering unease settled in my gut. I couldn't shake the worry that the shadows of his past addiction would always loom over us. Would he be able to maintain this newfound balance, the challenge of old friends? Despite the progress, old friends can often pose unexpected challenges. One day, Jamie came home with a concerned expression. "I ran into some friends from school today. They invited me to a gaming tournament next week," he said, shifting nervously. "What did you say?" I asked, bracing myself. "I told them I'd think about it. But part of me wants to go," he admitted, looking down. I felt a wave of anxiety wash over me. "What are you feeling right now?" "I don't know. Excited, but also scared. I don't want to fall back into old habits," he replied, his voice wavering. "Let's talk about what that experience could look like." "What do you think you might feel if you go?" I suggested gently. "I might get sucked back in. But I also want to see my friends," he confessed. It was a delicate balance. We spent the evening discussing pros and cons, and ultimately, he decided to go, with the understanding that he'd set firm boundaries. The tournament. The day of the tournament arrived. Jamie prepared himself with a mix of excitement and trepidation. I felt a knot in my stomach as he left, but I had faith in the tools he had gained. "Just remember your limits," I reminded him. At the tournament, Jamie faced a mix of familiar faces and new competitors. I could see him engaging, laughing, and competing fiercely. I was proud, yet anxious, wondering how it would affect him afterward. Later that evening, he returned home, his eyes sparkling with excitement. "It was amazing. I didn't even feel the urge to play afterward," he exclaimed. Relief washed over me. "That's wonderful, Jamie. You faced it and came out strong." The ripple effects. As time passed, Jamie's recovery influenced the entire family. Emily developed an interest in creative writing, inspired by her brother's journey. She began to explore storytelling, weaving tales filled with adventure and imagination. "Can I read you a story I wrote?" she asked one evening, her eyes bright with anticipation. "Of course," I replied, settling in to listen. As she read her story, I realized how her creativity blossomed in an environment of encouragement and support. It was beautiful to see how Jamie's progress inspired her to pursue her passions. Meanwhile, Lily discovered a love for soccer. Watching her play was a joy. Her energy and enthusiasm brought a renewed vibrancy to our family. "Look at my goal, Mom!" she shouted one Saturday after a game, beaming with pride. The unexpected setback. But life, as it often does, threw us a curveball. One afternoon, I received a call from Jamie's school. He had a panic attack during class, overwhelmed by the pressure of balancing his recovery with academic expectations. Hearing the news left me shaken. How could we have missed the signs? I rushed to the school, feeling a mix of fear and concern. When I arrived, Jamie was sitting in the counselor's office, his face pale and drawn. "I just felt trapped," he said, tears welling in his eyes. "I thought I was doing better, but I got so stressed out." "Stress is normal," but we need to learn how to handle it together, I reassured him, my heart aching for my son. We scheduled a follow-up with his therapist to discuss coping strategies for anxiety. It was a reminder that recovery isn't a straight path, it's a winding road filled with ups and downs. Building resilience. In therapy, Jamie learned about mindfulness and grounding techniques to help manage his anxiety. We practiced these exercises as a family, creating a safe space for all of us to express our feelings. One night, I suggested we try a family meditation session. Let us all sit together, close our eyes, and focus on our breathing, I proposed, hoping to foster a sense of calm. As we sat in silence, I felt a sense of unity wash over us. Jamie took a deep breath, and for the first time in a while, I could see the tension in his shoulders begin to ease. "Mom, that actually felt nice," he said afterward, a small smile breaking through. "It did, didn't it? We can make this a regular thing," I replied, hopeful. The school year. As the school year progressed, Jamie faced new challenges. With a renewed commitment to his studies, he balanced homework, his photography hobby, and spending time with friends. It wasn't easy, but he remained determined. I often helped him with his assignments, and one evening, we worked on a project about ecosystems. "Did you know that ecosystems can adapt and change over time?" he asked, a spark in his eyes. "That's just like us," I said, smiling. "We're learning to adapt, too." "You're right. Just like a forest recovering from a fire," Jamie replied, excited about the connection he had made. Supportive connections. Jamie began to reconnect with old friends, but he was careful to choose those who respected his boundaries. He invited a few over for a game night, but this time, it wasn't just about gaming. They played board games and chatted, fostering genuine connections beyond screens. "See, this can be fun too," he exclaimed, laughing with his friends as they played a board game late into the night. "Yeah, this is awesome." One of his friends agreed. I forgot how much I missed hanging out like this. Watching them, I felt a mix of pride and relief. Jamie was carving a new path, one that balanced his interests and relationships. The turning point. The real turning point came during a photography exhibition at school. Jamie submitted his photos, showcasing his journey through recovery and the beauty he found in nature. When the night of the exhibition arrived, I felt a flutter of nerves. What if people don't like them? Jamie worried, pacing back and forth. "They will love them, Jamie. You poured your heart into your work," I reassured him, squeezing his shoulder. As people admired his photos, I could see the pride radiating from him. "This is incredible," one parent exclaimed, pointing to a picture of a sunset. Jamie beamed, his confidence blossoming. That evening, he received positive feedback and even sold a few prints. It was a monumental moment of validation of his efforts and a sign that he was on the right path. Family bonds. Our family bond grew stronger as we navigated these experiences together. Jamie, Emily, and Lily began to open up more about their feelings and fears, creating a safe space for vulnerability. One evening, as we sat around the dinner table, Emily shared her anxieties about school. "I'm scared I won't do well in the upcoming exams," she admitted, her voice shaking. "Remember what we learned, it's okay to feel anxious. We can practice together," Jamie said, offering his support. "Yeah. We can form a study group." Lily chimed in enthusiastically. Watching them rally around each other, I felt a sense of pride. They were learning to communicate and support one another in ways I had hoped for. New horizons. As summer approached, Jamie took on a new challenge, volunteering at a local community center that offered art and photography classes for kids. He wanted to share his love for photography and inspire others who might be struggling. "I want to help them find joy in creativity, just like I did," he said with determination. The first day of volunteering was both exhilarating and nerve-wracking. Jamie stepped into the classroom, his heart racing. "What if they don't listen to me?" he worried. "They will, because you care," I replied, encouraging him. When he came home that evening, he was buzzing with excitement. "Mom, they loved it. We did a scavenger hunt for cool things to photograph." I felt a warmth spread through my heart. Jamie was not only finding his own footing, but he was also helping others. His journey had come full circle. The reunion. As the summer continued, we planned a family trip to the mountains. It was an opportunity to reconnect with nature and strengthen our family bond. "Are you ready for our adventure?" I asked Jamie as we packed the car. "Absolutely. I can't wait to take pictures," he exclaimed, his enthusiasm infectious. The mountains provided a beautiful backdrop, and as we hiked together, I saw Jamie finding peace in the serenity of nature. He captured breathtaking landscapes and shared stories about his experiences in the program. At one viewpoint, he set up his camera and captured the sunset, calling us over to share the moment. "Look at this," he said, showing us the photo. "It's like a painting." It's stunning, Jamie. You have a gift, I replied, feeling a swell of pride. Reflect, AI Spurs, continue the story and make an ending. ChatGPT is Spurs, ChatGPT. Reflecting on the journey. As we sat together, the sun dipping below the horizon, I reflected on how far we had come. Jamie was no longer the boy lost in the world of gaming, he had transformed into a passionate, creative young man, using his experiences to help others. Do you remember that first night when we sat around the table, struggling to communicate? I asked, looking at my children. Jamie nodded. Yeah, I felt so alone then. But look at us now, I said, my voice filled with emotion. We've built a foundation of love and understanding. We're a team. Emily and Lily smiled, their faces lit with the warmth of our shared journey. It felt like we were finally whole again. A new chapter. Back home, the summer continued to bring joy and challenges. Jamie kept volunteering, mentoring younger kids with enthusiasm. His work at the community center ignited a fire in him, and he began to explore opportunities in photography more seriously, even considering pursuing it in college. One afternoon, as he was editing photos from the mountain trip, he turned to me. Mom, I want to apply for a scholarship for a summer photography camp. It could help me take my skills to the next level. Absolutely. I'll help you with your application, I said, excitement bubbling inside me. I realized this was more than just about photography, it was about Jamie finding his passion and purpose. Embracing the future. As the school year approached, Jamie felt more grounded than ever. He had formed a close-knit group of friends who understood his journey and supported his interests. They encouraged each other in their studies, fostering a sense of camaraderie that I admired. One evening, during our family dinner, Jamie announced, I've decided to start a blog to document my journey with photography and recovery. That's a fantastic idea, I exclaimed. You can inspire others who might be struggling. With renewed determination, Jamie began writing. He poured his heart into each post, sharing insights about balancing passion and responsibilities. He included tips for managing anxiety and finding joy in creativity, reaching out to others who might be facing similar challenges. The celebration. As the year came to an end, we celebrated Jamie's achievements. He received a scholarship to the photography camp, and his blog gained traction, drawing a community of followers who resonated with his story. At a small gathering with family and friends, Jamie presented a slideshow of his work. Thank you all for your support. This journey has changed my life, and I hope my story can help others, he said, his voice steady and proud. Tears filled my eyes as I watched him shine. This was the ultimate reward, a young man transformed, ready to face whatever the future held. A bright future. The next chapter was full of promise. Jamie was on his way to exploring his passions while staying committed to his recovery. The family had strengthened its bond through trials and triumphs, learning that love, understanding, and support were the ultimate pillars of resilience. As we sat together that evening, surrounded by laughter and warmth, I couldn't help but feel that we had not only survived the storm but emerged stronger, ready to embrace whatever came next. In Jamie's eyes, I saw hope for a future filled with possibility and adventure. Here's to new beginnings. I raised my glass, and the family joined in. The journey was far from over, but we were ready to face it together, one step at a time.